Thank you, Mr. Fisk. Welcome to the October meeting of the Economic Development and Tourism Committee. I call this committee to order at 9:33 a.m. I'm John Morrissey. I'm the chair of this committee, also your at-large position holder on City Council. Let's do introductions, starting with Heidi, then Fred.
Heidi Fenton, City Council member.
Fred Chang, council member.
Mr. Mayor.
Rob Patansu, Port Orchard Mayor.
And then we'll go from staff, Nick on down.
Yeah, Nick Bond, Community Development Director for the city.
Jim Fisk, Principal Planner.
John Raja, Associate Planner.
Connor Dahlquist, Assistant Planner.
Thank you. And it looks like we have a couple of our stakeholders here as well. Gary?
Gary Anderson, Commissioner, Port of Bremerton, and owner G. Anderson Group.
And I'm Sarah Butler, and I'm with Bay Street Association and work at G. Anderson Group.
And Mr. Morrison.
Joe Morrison with the Kitsap Economic Development Alliance. Morning, everybody.
Good morning. Okay, thank you for your introductions. I'm actually going to throw stakeholder discussion kind of at the end because we have a light agenda and just kind of do it all as a good of the order type situation. So let's move straight into our discussion item, pre-application meetings.
All right, I will go ahead and Nick, if you can set me to have the ability to share my screen.
I don't think I'm the person who has that ability.
Jim.
Might be Mr. Fisk.
Okay. All right, are you able to see my screen?
Yep.
Okay. So we had a pre-application, and this is for 381 Tremont Street, West Port Orchard. And this is a proposal for a CareNet Pregnancy Crisis Center. It is a faith-based institution, and they are proposing to turn the existing single-family residential home on that property into a medical clinic. You can see the site plan here. There are a considerable amount of changes that or requirements we had proposed to them that they would need to make in order to make this fit with the design code, especially since with the design standards of that area, which is landscape, I believe, and they have a separate boutique. Other than that, it is primarily internal that the changes, you can see right here, this is the existing structure, and that they are changing that existing structure to fit this internal mold of the facility, primarily a couple of rooms and a waiting room. They do have a separate boutique here on the eastern portion of the property, and they are proposing to have like a courtyard, and I believe they're selling items there as part of, or I'm not the exact certain about the boutique's use, but it will be present on the property. Are there any questions for this pre-app?
But what's the name of this group?
Let me see here.
I think it said on the agenda
It did.
That's the CareNet of Puget Sound.
and
Pregnancy clinic and boutique. So 381, as I'm looking at it on Google.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was going to pull up Google for you so you can see it.
Okay.
It's this
Oh.
existing house, and there's an existing garage that's the boutique, and then the house becomes the clinic.
Okay, so it is where I was looking. Okay.
Right. So as the code there, they have the front that drive aisle that's existing there. They'll probably need to expand that to fit certain aspects of the code. The parking as they have it along the property line isn't something that's allowed within the design code, so they'll need to move that to the side and back of the facility. So there's a considerable amount of changes that need to be made to conform with the city's code, but for the most part, they'll submit that to us once they get through. At this point, it's just the pre-application, but they are intending on moving forward with this, it seems.
Do we have concerns? I mean, it sounds like it's zoned correctly. They just have a few changes to what their initial thoughts were and they'll conform?
That is correct, yes. They're properly zoned. The zoning is proper. It's just changes to the design and the development to fit that.
Are they asking for any conditional? No, so
No.
this is a by the book application, so they're not asking for any concessions or any variances or okay. So this is an FYI to us then.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong here, Nick.
Comment or
This is
like it or
just-
dislike it. It's just what's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah, I don't think we have any, the council, if it complies with our code, I'm not certain why it's on the agenda, actually. That was,
Well, we determined at the beginning of the year that we would brief you on pre-application meetings.
okay,
so
so
I think-
let's start with that this is a briefing on pre-application meetings, because I'm scratching my head going, why? Because yeah, even if there was a conditional use permit, it still wouldn't come before the council. It comes before the hearing examiner.
Yep. No, I think we want an idea of what's coming, what's in the pipe.
Okay,
Things
that's great.
of that
It-
nature, so.
It just wasn't, the presentation wasn't led with that.
Oh, yeah.
Apologies. Yes, I'll make sure to reiterate that every time we begin, but primarily commercials, any commercial pre-application that comes to our desk, the committee had stated that, the council had stated they wanted to, for us to inform them of pre-applications specifically on commercial projects that are coming into the city.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
And then this one brings up, jostles my memory. Have we made any inroads or heard anything from, I don't know if it's going to be specifically the St. Michael's group that are working on creating their ER just kind of down the way from there? Have they made any progress or have we just?
You're talking about the Harrison facility? I believe they've applied for permits to do those tenant improvements, but that's just a building code, building permit issue.
Okay, so they're not going to be running a bunch of stuff by us as they do that
No.
internally. Okay.
Can
Just
you,
curious.
can you show us the Google map again, Nick? I was curious what is to the east of this lot. It's a parking lot for who's that for?
Kaiser.
Yeah,
Oh,
health or whatever.
Sorry, the west is the Sound Healthcare Center, and the east is a wooded undeveloped site here. I'm not sure if this is a separate parcel or not.
yeah, it's an interesting location because it's not really visible and it's sort of close to residential, but it is what it is. I was just trying to place where it is. I was thinking, okay, it's not interesting.
Yeah, it's up that little section in that.
Thank you. Okay.
We get to that. Yeah.
Got it
around
now.
there.
Okay.
Yeah, my original Google took me further up Tremont, and that's why I had to find it as well. So thank you. Thank you. Anything else on that, Sean?
Nothing else. If you have any questions, I can answer what I can.
Excellent. Thank you. So we're going to kind of roundtable it from here because it's a light agenda. I got back to Sean a couple of the things late after this was published. So I know that I wanted to make sure and let anyone here know about Lodging Tax Allocation Committee. RFP is out. Those are due later this month. So if you haven't seen that, make sure you go to the city's website and apply. I believe interviews are October 30th. Don't quote me on that, but get this process going. So I know that's tourism related, so I wanted to throw that out there. And that's what I had for our roundtable or good of the order.
I have an announcement.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Mr. Bond.
So on Thursday or Friday of last week, we were contacted by the producers of the TV show House Hunters on HGTV. They are going to be filming an episode in South Kitsap. I believe they're looking at waterfront properties, so probably not houses in Port Orchard, but they do want to shoot some introductory footage because it's the Port Orchard area. So I think they're going to be filming probably along our waterfront and in downtown for a day or two to get footage, and then I think they're looking at houses closer to Olalla, but that's exciting. We'll get a little bit of exposure, and I think they'll be referring to it as Port Orchard and Olalla on the show.
Can we connect them maybe with POPSA and maybe get some good business shots? And I know they'll do all kinds of B-roll and things like that, but that way timing, we can make sure the city looks great too.
I'm all over it.
I can, who should I reach out to specifically, do you think? And I can certainly find out about dates.
Sarah would be a great person to run that through. So Sarah's right here. Sarah, if you don't mind, can Nick have your email address?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I do think that I might have
Do you have it
Sarah's-
already, Sean? Okay.
Yeah, and if not, I can always email them and get that information for Nick.
Perfect. Cool. That's exciting. Thank you for sharing.
Mhm.
Anyone else? Good of the order. Sean?
Yeah, so I think Nick, did you want to go over the our next month's EDT meeting falls on Veterans
We're gonna
Day.
catch that at the end here. So we're gonna, I
okay.
think we got to do the next 2 months, I think you said.
It's depending on the holiday schedule, it's going to be give
Yeah.
or take. We wanted to cover that.
Yeah, I think that's my last item before we adjourn is
All right, just
figuring
want
out timing.
to make sure we have that on the it's on the radar.
Yeah, perfect. I'm gonna go to Heidi and then Gary.
Yeah, I was at the it was on Thursday, but they usually the community resource gathering, they get together once a month, and it's just businesses and nonprofit and then other people that are really interested, and they just serve families, children, teenagers, anyone in need. And it's such a cool group. It's amazing how they give to the community right here in Port Orchard. And also they're looking into having a YMCA. So Wendy's kind of the head of it, but she also has people that work too with her colleagues. But we had a YMCA guy come in and looking for buildings, either maybe in the city or in the county. But I thought that was pretty cool. People really want a place for families and teenagers to go.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Heidi. Gary.
Well, I just wanted to mention that you're going to see a few changes occurring down pretty close to right across from City Hall there. The two buildings that was the WWCA building and which was originally Shorty Gould's building. The port is about ready to tear those buildings down. I think about the middle of next month. So that'll become a flat parking lot with a clean slate to decide what we're going to do with it in the future, but it's a first step.
And did I read somewhere there's some soil mitigation you guys are working through?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, there was contamination there. It's probably gonna take us 3 years to work through that cleanup process, but that gives us time to do some planning on what we're gonna end up doing with the property. So
That's awesome. I look forward to seeing that community engagement and see what comes from it. So thank you. Mayor.
I've just got a question for, hey, Gary, we've been getting a lot of public comment and emails, and I've been forwarding you some emails about unwanted behavior down in the parking lot by the gazebo. And has that elevated to any type of a conversation? That's your guys' parking lot. So I want to.
Yeah. I sent that over to Jim Rothland to address. He probably handed it to James Weaver. I think they're trying to navigate through some kind of a solution for that. We are going to be doing some improvements down in the waterfront area by the gazebo coming up. It's in our budget to do it before the end of this year, which includes, restriping, fixing any problems with the parking lot, including replacing the curbing around the plantings things and stuff like that. The solution that you're probably talking about is we probably have to add in some speed bumps or something to slow some of those people down. And I think we're looking at adding that into the budget.
And-
One, and another council, I just attended a conference this last week, and I was sitting at a breakout session, and our police chief is presented the idea, and it didn't make it in. I didn't even think it was even presented in this budget, but they're called flock cameras, and I learned from a number of other mayors how impactful they've been in their communities, and in particular, so it's a camera system, and it can capture noise. I'm told too, and what from a crime prevention standpoint, let's say if Paulsbo or Gig Harbor had this, or Bremerton had these camera systems too, somebody commits a crime and they're looking for this license plate, and where the chief was talking about putting them was at the exits and, you know, right around our box store, like at Lowe's and at Fred Meyer, and it enable us. So now that person that we know is going to crime somewhere else enters into our community, and we can dispatch a police officer, but they could also potentially be used maybe to combat this. I think the rainy weather is going to take care of this, at least for this winter for us. But when the days get longer and nicer again, I think we're going to have people congregating and doing things once again that we don't want. So it's something we probably need to get out ahead of, you know, by next spring or summer.
Well, and I know we talked about that, and I've had one-off conversations with folks around some of that, but I hope we're going to talk about it tomorrow night a little bit too. I'm hoping that maybe just like the retail theft stuff, the chief has the ability that if the port says, go ahead and sign this, and after hours, if there's noise and things, you're more than welcome to enforce laws,
Yeah.
even though it's private property.
It's different. It's different than that, John, but the port could enact policies, or they, you know, pass a resolution, I guess I'm not sure if that's the right term in the port's vernacular, but to allow us, it'd be something similar to you're talking about, but
Yeah.
the port could potentially pass rules or regulations that prevent people from being down there after hours too, that would allow the police department to be a little more heavy-handed.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, you know, no different than somebody doing donuts in the Safeway parking lot or Fred Meyer. I would think our police would want to curb that type of activity as well, but I'm not sure all the ramifications, and you know, learning through even just the retail theft stuff that you can sign a paper and they can do it at any time for you. So
if the port did take that kind of action, and this is stuff that is a nuisance that doesn't necessarily rise to the level of breaking the law, is the police department going to be in?
It's a trespass situation, Gary. So if you potentially, I think this is where maybe James or Kathy need to. I know that the chief was out of town last week. He was down in the hurricane helping a friend clean up, but he's back this week. What he was envisioning is potentially you would have something if you didn't have a valid parking pass hanging in your car, and you're trespassing someone because you don't have a legitimate reason to be there because you don't have a parking pass.
Right.
You didn't purchase parking and have a parking ticket on your car.
Well, I think we have to give the police tools to enforce the law. I guess it just depends if they feel it's something worth enforcing or not these days. It's kind of a muddy area right now, as you can imagine. So
I think the chief was going to reach out to Kathy or James. So
Okay.
maybe we'll let that run its course.
yeah, right.
okay. Heidi?
No, I'm glad we're taking proactive, because even my neighbors, I've talked to about 6 different people, and that's including then their spouses. Those like 10 people have complained about the noise and even the racing. So with those cameras, and that's what I want. I would like us all to be working together, the police, the city, the marina. Now, what about the speed going down Bay Street. Can those cameras, are these cameras just gonna be in the parking lot? Is that
They're
what-
not, we can't write tickets off the cameras. It's just a tool, another tool in our toolbox to,
Right.
maybe it would deter behavior if it's known there's cameras there.
Mhm.
You know,
I'm encouraged by this discussion because the deputy chief brought up something interesting that I didn't understand. He said that there was a private property issue with enforcement of this. And was he talking about the Port of Bremerton property in the parking lot?
yes,
Yes,
and that's
there-
what we're discussing here. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, but that's not really private property. That's public property, but it's owned by the Port of Bremerton. Or
Right,
Or
it's not
not-
ours.
Not by the Port Orchard. It's still considered private because it's a different municipality. Just like we don't own the same things that the federal government owns. Just because we're in the city of Port Orchard, I can't go into the shipyard.
Yeah, so it sounds like I'm guessing that the Port of Bremerton would not be opposed to the police going onto their property to enforce something like this. So I don't know what we need to do.
That's what we're
clear.
talking about right here.
Okay.
We're gonna let
Well-
the players do what they need to do to get that job done. I just wanted to make sure that was already in motion, which it sounds like it already is.
Yeah, it could potentially require the port to pass rules and regulations for their parking lot that we could then would, if we provide, we have staff available to do it, we would then enforce those rules and regulations. There's no rules right now to prevent people from congregating there, and they're not breaking the law.
Until after the police are gone.
I had a question about this. Do we have an ILA with the port for police services? Because I know ports can have their own police department. Like Port of Seattle has its own police. And I'm wondering if we actually have anything in place where we are policing port properties, or if it's just an informal handshake at this point.
There's the parking thing, right?
Yeah, there's
enforce
parking.
on their lot, but
Those are infractions, not criminal enforcement. So that may be something that we need to look at as well.
Right. Nice thought.
There's more to this than
Meets the eye.
appears on the surface.
Yeah, agreed.
well, I'm glad we're talking about it, at least maybe the public can understand, when we're pointing the finger at private property and we're saying the port, at least the public knows what we're talking about. Otherwise, it's not residential private property that these things are happening on. So I think clarifying terms here might help at least the public understand better.
Okay. Anything else for good of the order?
Mm.
Joe? You're muted, buddy.
Story of technology, right? You're always muted. I'm gonna start with a question to Sarah, and then I'll explain why I'm asking the question. Sarah, do you know when the next POPSA meeting is? Off the top of your head?
Not off the top of my head, but I believe
do.
it's oh, Heidi, go for it.
Go,
I
Heidi,
do.
go!
Hey, the next, the POPSA one, it's going to be at Josephine's at 8:45 on the 17th, Thursday the 17th.
That's right. That's right. Okay,
It
so
was gonna be, yeah.
it's this
It's gonna
week.
be- Yeah, this week, on the
It's a
17th.
morning meeting versus an evening meeting.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was gonna be an evening, but they changed it, I read, to, it's a morning one now.
It is, yes, to 8:45.
Yeah, so I think something that has crossed my radar screen and probably should have crossed it a while ago, one way or another, maybe, I don't know, is the Port Orchard public market. And so it's pretty desolate in there now with the closure of the dock. It's probably the opposite of what we're looking for as a community for a vibrant downtown. And so maybe at some point there needs to be some strategy between POPSA, the chamber, and KEDA to do something. It's a little tricky. It's a privately owned building as far as I know, and there is plenty of responsibility beyond the community to monetize and operate that building and to have it full. But I think downtown needs love, and our public market is pretty vacant and probably going to become more vacant if we don't put some strategies in place to deal with it.
Agreed.
Well, the Seagos and Drew McEwen, I believe, have sold the restaurant to another entity, and if they're not open yet, they're probably getting ready to open.
That's exciting to hear. That'll be a big help.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
don't want that.
So that's good news that I was unaware of. So happy to hear that. And, you know, maybe Sarah and Heidi, maybe this is something, depending on how things progress, that gets brought up in various Port Orchard SK meetings. So it's just on my mind. That's it.
Joe, thanks for bringing it up because I think that Market and Bay Street can use all the love and attention that people can add to it. Their agent, for example, is perhaps not the most gung-ho agent that I've heard of. Everyone knows who he is. So I think that if we can help, you know, like encourage other tenants to look into the empty spaces there, that would be, of course, doing his job, but at least it would be getting something accomplished. Oh,
Right.
yeah, Sarah, please.
Right. Hey, Sarah, I see you. And
So
I'm sure the chair sees you too, but I'm just here.
I'm actually
Whatever.
working with that particular broker on some of the things and some of the changes for downtown regarding our beautification project. So he's actually coming on board. It's shorter. He's been, my understanding, unaware, but I'm not quite sure how that goes. But it is a project that I'm working on. So just know that it's not just being left there. It is actually enforcing step by steps right now.
Yeah, and maybe in a month or two, as we see how this restaurant situation develops, we can sit down with the agent and talk about, you know, hey, we would love to be helpful to you to fill this space up. How can we do that?
I've already started that conversation with him.
Okay, let us know what you need, Sarah, right?
Okay.
Like from the chamber or from us or from whatever. You know, it's been high potential and low usage, and it's not getting any easier as we work to redevelop Bay Street.
Right, correct.
When these public markets are done right? I mean, I don't know if you've been, the one, Wenatchee has a really great public market along their waterfront that I'm just in awe of. So they can really do, bring a lot of people to your area and can be an economic force. So I'm a big fan. So yeah, let's hope that all those plans come to fruition. And anything you need, let us know. Use this group email, Sarah. So
Okay, thank you.
yes, Ms. Fenton.
One more. I'm still working on those anchors. Now, the two at the yacht club, they'll stay there. They every year they have to put, you know, like a historical thing. They're all doing good, staying there. And maybe the one, I don't know who told me, like the one by the library might not get moved, but it's kind of hidden. So I'm still looking into maybe we can get 2 more anchors. And so we got the anchors at Port Orchard. Anyway, I don't have much to say, but slowly but surely.
Okay.
I kind of love that, the anchors of Port Orchard.
I know, isn't that?
That's a zinger of a saying. That's pretty good.
Okay, I do have to give Kathy the credit down at the port, because I was talking to her about all the different anchors and how I wanted for people to take pictures and come on board, and even got this idea too from Popsa, because Popsa wanted to kind of rename and do all this. And so that's when I first saw the anchor that nobody sees by the library. So kind of got the ball going, but I have to give Kathy credit for the, you know.
Well, maybe that's something we can
It does
get
have
you
a nice ring.
Maybe that's something we can get you a connection with. I'm sure as they're decommissioning boats and stuff over in the shipyard, they have anchors to get at.
Yeah.
I always talk about public art being a great way to engage and get people to engage with their community. Where I'm from, back in Omaha, they've done it in multitude different ways. They did a J-Doe project, and then they did a J-Doe, only it was for cows, where they give an artist, you know, just a blank slate, but they all start with the basic shape of a cow and they put whatever design on it. Maybe we could do something like that with anchors too. I don't know, but
No.
just a thought that popped in my head right there. That happens. So any other good of the order that aren't thoughts of popping in my head? Perfect. Thank you. We will call this meeting adjourned at 10:02.
Oh, did we want to talk about the next meeting?
Oh, yes. Thank you. I got straight on and moved on. Thank you, Nick. We are not adjourned. I take that back. So we do have some scheduling conflicts coming up the next couple of meetings. So next month on the 11th is Veterans Day. I believe that's a staff holiday.
Yes,
This one is
correct.
more of like a flex one because today's a holiday, but the next one is a staff holiday and won't be present. So we can look at rescheduling.
I would like to suggest canceling November, but keeping December. I think that both Jim and I are going to be out in early November, and then we have the holidays in the second half of November. I think it's hard to get a meeting in, and we're also trying to finish the comp plan and budget. But I think December 9th is our normal meeting for December, and we can wait and see what we have if anything comes up in December. That's not too late into the month. And if the committee wants to cancel it, you're welcome to, but I would recommend just canceling November for now.
I'm in favor of what Nick's presenting on top of both Finance Committee, Comp Plan, and LTAC. I would be okay with that.
Yeah, I like the, you said the 9th, right?
Keep the 9th.
December
Yeah, keep the 9th.
Mhm. I'm okay.
Yeah,
Councilmember
fine.
King?
Mhm.
We're good? Okay, so that's the decision made. We are going to cancel November the 11th. So see that is officially canceled, and we will see you all again December 9th. Thank you for that reminder.
Guys.
And if I could keep Mr. Baum and Mr. Fisk separately, now at 10:04, we will call this meeting adjourned.
Okay,
Thank you. See you.
thanks. Bye.